Our friend Will Riccardella of the Washington Examiner is in the mix. Go to thewashingtonexaminer.com for his latest. Will, always good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Buck. Sorry for dressing down so much here, but nobody's in the office because of COVID, so I can dress however I want.
All right, hold on a second. We got to restart. Will, this is going to go on radio.
Okay.
So don't talk about how you're dressed. Let's restart this.
Sorry.
Because if I put that on WR, they're gonna know that we taped this before, and I'm gonna get yelled at.
God,
so we gotta just
about that.
We're doing a radio interview. You just happen to be on video. Okay.
Sorry,
all right. That's no problem. All right, guys. No one cares how you're dressed. Don't worry about it. All right, ready? Mark, are we ready to go?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Our friend Will Riccardella is in the mix. He is at the Washington Examiner. He's down in D.C. going to tell us what's going on inside the Beltway. Will, great to have you back.
Hey, good to be back, Buck. Thanks for having me on.
So we were talking about a lot of things today. Well, one that's at the top of my mind is these immigration executive orders. We saw before that what they told us, which is that these are people claiming asylum who are claiming asylum for the right reasons, and they're not going to just fail to show up for their actual asylum hearing in court. That was a lie. We've already seen this. That wasn't true. That's why the Remain in Mexico program resulted in a huge drop in these asylum requests and people showing up at the border. Now Biden's going back to it. I mean, I don't see how we can view this as anything other than the Democrats doing everything they can to move us as close as possible to a de facto open border or an even more porous border.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And look, I don't know if you remember during the debate when Trump mentioned coyotes and no one on the left knew what a coyote was. Well, that's a shame because whose business is going to boom are coyotes on the border. These are human smugglers. They treat people like garbage. And now their business is on the uptick because Biden's going back to all the same garbage policies that led to what Obama dubbed a humanitarian crisis on our southern border. Remember kids in cages? That happened under Obama. Biden just had to open up another migrant detention center at the border for overflow. Where do you think those kids are going to go? They're all going to go right back into these detention centers. The left isn't mentioning any of it. They've incentivized these people to come here. And look, coyotes are using Biden's words to up their client base and smuggle people into the country. This is truly pernicious. And look, they don't care about these kids. They use them. They put words in their mouth. This isn't about caring about kids. This is about getting a voter base for the Democratic Party. It's also about displacing and lowering low-income wages so that there are people, when they do raise minimum wage, it will kick a lot of people off of the rolls. They won't be able to get human capital, and they'll be dependent on government for generations to come.
It also seems like there's some effort here for the Biden administration to shield Democrat members of Congress from having to take tough votes on this, at least for right now. Why not? I mean, they have the majority in the House. They have a de facto majority in the Senate. Why not actually pass legislation if they want to change the rules in effect around immigration? They can do so, but Biden prefers to just use the pen and the phone method.
Look, they have no mandate. He has no political capital. He barely won the Senate. That was a squeaker. They lost seats in the House. Joe Biden, he's already underwater in his approval rating. He doesn't have a mandate. People don't like his policies. They didn't like Barack Obama's policies, but they like Barack Obama. People don't like Biden as much as they liked Obama, and they certainly don't like his policies. People forget Trump. Everybody really liked Trump's policies. It was Trump as his personality is what people didn't like. So, Biden's finding out pretty quickly here that governing isn't as easy as staying in your basement and campaigning. And look, this is just going to compound. People don't want these policies. His approval rate is going to drop even further. He's going to have less and less of a mandate, and it's going to be a bloodbath in 2022.
Now let's talk about where we are on this rescue package, stimulus package, spending, whatever they're calling it today. Senator Lindsey Graham, who of course was on Fox News last night, and every night he's on, he's going to get answers any moment now. He's going to get to the bottom and get the answers that we need on all this stuff. Sure he is. Here he is though, telling everybody about the spending package. Play 19.
And I do believe that this $1.9 trillion package is going to do more harm than good to the American economy. And the reason we're having this debate, the way we're having this debate, is because they have unlimited power, my Democratic colleagues. You've chosen to do this. The 10 Republicans who went down to the White House, I appreciate their effort. Maybe some good will come from that. But this process we're engaged in today makes me wonder if it was worth their time. Maybe we can pull a rabbit out of the hat and find a bipartisan compromise consistent with what we've done over the last year. If not, we're going to march down the reconciliation road. We're going to take $1.9 trillion of spending and let one party spend it.
What happens if Democrats will go forward with a $1.9 trillion spending package and do it through essentially the budgetary gimmick or trick in Congress of reconciliation?
Well, I think I've been on your show many times, Buck, and we talked about this ad nauseum, that what the Democrats did with COVID was to hijack the economy from Donald Trump. And that was so they could win the election in 2020. And that these governors, in particular, New York and California, which have tremendous economies, if you shut those down, you're going to hurt the entire American economy. This is a bailout. This is their bailout. This is their way to co-opt the federal printing press. They need to balance their budgets. They don't have a printing press. They did that with the guarantee that the left is going to come in there and pay them off. $370 billion goes to states. This is just a payoff for helping Biden get into office. The rest is handouts to cronies. And look, this is their generous Medicaid funding that they have in part due to Obamacare and in part due because they're leftists who just throw money out the window. And look, you will have inflationary pressures. If the economy opens and you're throwing this money into the economy and the velocity of money picks up, you're going to have a massive problem. You can devalue the dollar. Yellen came out and said, Powell came out and said their target inflation is 2%. They're a little bit under there now. So it seems like they're willing and ready to throw money around. We'll see what happens in the long run. In particular, if things start to open, we need things to open now. That would be the best stimulus. All this stimulus crap talk is just a handout to their cronies.
Yes, and it seems like the only place where there's always a slowdown is in actually just getting money into the hands of people affected by this, right? Biden was saying it would be $2,000. Now they've dropped that down. I think it's to $1,400 was the latest number that I saw. They were pushing the $2,000 in order to win those 2 Senate seats in Georgia, and now all of a sudden it's changed all over again. And really, what we see, Will, is the blue state exodus. They want to try to paper this over with money by sending a lot of federal tax dollars to Los Angeles, to New York City, and to New York and California as states.
Isn't that interesting that, they want to cut money out, giving it to the people whose businesses were forcefully shut down, everyday American people, so that they can increase the amount they give to their blue state cronies and governors and all of these people who haven't lost a dime. In fact, I think some of them got a pay increase. They have paid no price for their terrible decision making. Then they get paid off and the American people actually get less. Then people wonder why everyone's so ticked off all the time. These people are in another world. They're in another reality. And the thing is that they never pay a price for being wrong.
Speaking of Will Riccardella of the Washington Examiner, and Will, speaking of Washington, tell us what's going on here in D.C. with people demanding either being kicked off of committees or kicked out of Congress entirely for this new member of Congress from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. MTG is how people are referring to on the internet. They want the ouster of MTG. What do you make of all this?
Well, look, you have the Democrats who fight. You say what you want about them. They're fighters and they're willing to knock her off. Look, we had Ilhan Omar. AOC just accused, Ted Cruz of attempted murder last week. And it's like it didn't happen. And all we talk about is Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then she's into conspiracy theories. The entire Democratic Party pushed a conspiracy theory for 3 years. When they push a conspiracy theory, they get a special counsel, a 3-year investigation, headlines, the media's behind them. When someone on the right says something kooky in a conspiracy theory, well, that they get expelled. Every person in the party's labeled a conspiracy theorist. Do you see how this works? This is garbage. Adam Schiff said he had evidence of Russian collusion. Here's this guy still he's a committee chair. Rep Swalwell said the same thing. The man's a kook. Then he was with a Chinese spy. And the GOP's focused on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why don't you tell them that if Greene's expelled, we need to expel everybody who participated in the Russian collusion conspiracy theory. You all have to go too.
Will, I'm concerned as well that there's a feeling right now within the GOP that we can buy off this ascendant totalitarian left by just, if we feed the crocodile a few of our own, it'll leave us alone. This is a strategy that history and common sense should tell members of the GOP apparatus is disastrous. But I do think we're going down that pathway right now.
Oh, absolutely. The old crocodile will eat us last garbage. Look, I think a lot of these people understand that government, like the left, gives government power, right? There are Republicans who are in government. They like power too. I mean, it's seductive. So, do they really have our best interests at heart here? A huge government with a ton of power also gives the Republican Party power. That's not to say that the civil society doesn't permeate the Republican Party entirely, but it seems like they try to dismiss their constituents. They don't care about losing gracefully. They're happy to do it. They don't want to fight. And the left are fighters. They've been fighting for 100 years. They've been infecting our institutions from academia, Hollywood, the administrative state for 110 years now. That's what the progressive movement has done. And the GOP have just kind of been like, whatever. We can't say anything about that. And that's why we're in this position today.
What do you think we do about the takeover of institutions? Because that's really, for me, that's the piece here that has greatly magnified concerns over, look, Obama in 2009 had the Senate, had the House, and, we made it through that as a country. There was some very bad decision making and some damage done, but we made it through that as a country. But right now, when you have Biden with this, as you say, very narrow Senate majority, but a still essentially the ability to push anything they want through the Senate if they get all Democrats on board. Obviously, they still have a majority in the House. But you add to that corporate America, and it's not just social media. I mean, major companies of all kinds, major hotel chains, companies that are selling you your lawnmower, whatever it may be, they're all in on wokeness now, too. So it feels like there's a magnifying, a force multiplier effect going on right now, not only of the political victories that the left has pulled off in recent months, but also the cultural and private sector muscle that they're able to bring to bear.
Well, that's exactly right. And look what the left did when when Trump won, and we had when Republicans had the House and the Senate, and they had all three branches of government. They fought back at the state level. All of a sudden, anytime the left loses and Republicans control more than two branches of government, federalism's a thing again. States have rights again, right? That's what we need. That's what the Republicans have to do, is fight back at the state level. They control a lot of these legislatures. They control a lot of these governorships, and they need to bog this down in litigation. Look, Donald Trump appointed over 200 federal judges. They have a case to make here in a lot of these policies and fighting back. Look, there's already starting with sanctuary gun states and so on. They don't have to support and help federal law enforcement. They don't. I mean, that's the point of some of these of federalism and the 10th Amendment and the 9th Amendment, is to kind of fight back against these things, and they need to take it to court. They need to fight until 2022 when they can get some semblance of the government back and reduce the administrative state. Congress needs to take back a lot of the power they handed to the executive branch. It's just become too overwhelming. So that's where they have to start.
You think DeSantis might get some traction here with his efforts to push back on big tech, specifically in his state?
Yes, I looked. That dropped last night. I haven't seen anything fly like that in social media in a long time. So yes, I think from a grassroots standpoint, that's huge. Whether or not you agree with it, some conservatives may not, and so on free speech grounds. But that's what people like, and that's what they want to share, and that's what they want to be discussed right now. Big tech is a major issue, and all of this censorship and stifling conservative voices is one of the biggest issues for conservatives right now. So. Yeah, absolutely. Right. DeSantis is making a push for a 2024 run.
Will Riccardella, everybody, WashingtonExaminer.com. Go check it out. Will, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Buck.
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.